Hello, this is Loopline. In this video I'm going to cover some tips and tricks that you can use with ScrapeBox that are not commonly known by a lot of people. So let's just start at the beginning. If we have some URLs here and we want to remove some of them or modify some of them, we can click the first one we want, hold down the Shift key, and then click another one, and it will highlight a group of them in between where we clicked, and then we can copy those to the clipboard or remove them, that sort of thing. Same thing happens in the Proxy Manager. A lot of people don't know how to get rid of proxies, so let's just grab some proxies here. I can click where I want and click here, and I can do this after I've tested them as well, and get rid of them by going to filter, remove. Same thing with proxy sources. So when I'm harvesting proxies, if I had my own sources added, I can click and then click here and highlight them, and then I can remove the source. So a lot of people have trouble removing the proxy sources. So holding on the Shift key allows you to do a lot of things by selecting them and highlighting them, and you can do different tasks from there. Now in the keyword scraper, if I go to keyword here and I want to look for domains about cars, and I go ahead and let's do car reports, and I go ahead and scrape up some keywords here, then I have the domain lookup tool here. What this does is checks to see if there are domains available, and I can choose based off those keywords. So you see here where I have car reports, it'll check carreports.com, .org, .net, .info, and it's going to tell me if those are available. So if you scrape up a list of keywords and you're doing keyword research for a site that you want, you can do the keyword research, and then you can turn around and check and see if the exact match domain is available as well. And so I'm just going to go ahead and start this and let it run through there. And I'll just pause the video for a second so you can see how this works. And so it goes through and checks them twice, and so you can see actually most of those are available. And then we have the option here to include hyphens as well if we wanted. So it'll give us the hyphen between the words, and it'll check those as well. And see, so we can go through here and then we can check that, but we won't. We'll just support that here and move on. Now, if I've scraped up some URLs, which I just did, some basic URLs here based on the word test, I can go to export, and I have a lot of export options. A lot of people just export to text, which is fine. You can export and split the list, which is nice, and even randomize the list, which is nice. You can export them as Unicode or UTF-8, and you can export as HTML. So if you wanted to export a list of URLs as an actual web page, you can do that. I found that very helpful because then I can go through and just open that file, that HTML file, in a browser, and then go through and just click on each link if I want to go through and manually look at these sites, at a lot of them for various characteristics or whatever. If you need to upload it to your server, that sort of thing. You can export as Excel, which is handy. You get a lot of export or sorting options and different things you can do in Excel. You can export as RSS XML list, and this is handy if you use it in conjunction with RSS aggregator, or if you just want to make an RSS feed for a site that doesn't have one. You can use the link extractor, for instance, to pull in all the list of URLs on your own site, or you could do like a site, yourdomain.com, and scrape all the lists from Google, and then you could load them all in here, and then you can export as an RSS XML, upload it to your server, and now you have an RSS feed on a site that may not have an RSS feed built into the CMS you're using, or if you're not using a CMS, that sort of thing. So a lot of useful functions there. You can add to existing, and then you get the option to export indexed and not indexed if you've checked for indexed. Another great thing here is you can of course grab emails and that sort of thing, which a lot of people know, and a lot of people know you can grab comments from WordPress sites, but a lot of people don't know that you can grab meta info from harvested URL lists. So if I hit this and hit start, what it's going to do is it's going to go through here, and we can see it's grabbing the keywords and the description and the title from those pages, and then I get an option to filter and export as well. So grabbing metadata is pretty handy for URLs. Also have the option to show PageRank statistics. So if I do a big PageRank check on a list of URLs, and most of these obviously have PageRank because the word test is ranking in a lot of them, I can go to PageRank when it's done, and or rather, I meant to say the export part. I can go to export here and show statistics, and then I get my PageRank statistics, so to tell me how many of each one there are, and then it'll give me a nice average across the board. But another thing you can do with checking PageRank, and it also applies to checking indexes, if they don't check, so like if you have a big run and they don't all check, you just go through and hit it again, and it won't recheck them all, it'll only recheck ones that are failed. So that's pretty handy. Let's say I want to harvest some results here, and during the middle of it, it crashes, or my computer shuts down, or the power goes off, or whatever. And so let's say that all of a sudden I have these hundreds of thousands of URLs that I've scraped, and ScrapeBox is closed for whatever reason. ScrapeBox saves them in real time to the ScrapeBox directory. So let me pull it up for you here. So in your ScrapeBox directory, you have this Harvester Sessions folder, and inside of that you'll see Harvester Sessions. Also, your keywords that you scrape are saved here and as well. But Harvester Session, the very last one that's created, so this was 6:30, 11:49 p.m. This is the very last one. That is the list of URLs here that I just harvested. So there's 979, which was like my 800 plus 86. If I import this list right here, which I'll do, so I went ahead and pulled it up here, the last harvester session, which is the one that ends in 928. We have 928 here, and open it up. We can see that that was that 893 URLs it just harvested. So pretty handy that it saves the harvested URLs to the hard drive in real time, and that's also where it's saved if you harvest more than 1 million URLs. So the grid will only hold 1 million URLs, but say you harvest 5 million or 10 million or 100 million URLs, they are all saved in the Harvester Session folder in batches of 1 million chunks, all saved in here. And so that is nice to know that you don't have to worry about your URLs being lost if it crashes. Another thing that's useful to know is setting ScrapeBox and its add-ons and plugins as trusted applications for your antivirus, firewall, sandbox software, that sort of thing. So a lot of people will have an issue with ScrapeBox and they'll say, oh, well, I know it's not my firewall, my antivirus, because I disabled them. Well, that doesn't matter. Antivirus, firewall, that sort of thing, they have fail-safes because they don't want a virus to just disable the antivirus software and then be able to do whatever it wants. So antivirus still run even if you disable them. All they do, disabling does, is stop them from creating new rules. So if an antivirus comes along and creates a rule for ScrapeBox that says block it if it does X, or block it if it loads, block its internet access, block a plugin, an add-on, whatever, then you disable it, it'll still block that plugin, still block ScrapeBox, it just won't create new rules. So if you then go and install a new program, then it won't do that sort of, it won't create a block rule for that. So like I have Komodo running on this particular computer, and you would just go to like firewall and allow an application, or in sandbox, in this particular one I have to open the advanced settings to see if ScrapeBox is in there and edit, remove, and purge and that sort of thing. So don't just disable antivirus if you're having an issue. Go ahead and add an allow rule, and it's generally a good idea to add allow rules for ScrapeBox anyways, even if you haven't had any issues, because every ScrapeBox update gets a new MD5 hash, and antivirus can see that as a totally new program. Also, if you update your antivirus, it's got updates, and so at any time it could begin to block ScrapeBox, and I've actually seen that happen more than once, where ScrapeBox updates or antivirus updates, and all of a sudden you're blocking things and you don't know why. So if you just go in and add an allow rule and set it as a full trusted program with full allow access straight from the beginning, you don't have those issues. Another thing that a lot of people find handy is a delay. A lot of people don't realize that this delay down here affects several different things. By default, you get the option from the drop down for seconds of 1 through 10 second delays, and then you can choose R&D, which is random, and if you choose that, you can go to settings, adjust R&D delay range, and you can go anywhere from 1 second all the way up to 60 seconds, and ScrapeBox will pick a maximum delay there. Now this is handy for doing PageRank checking, for instance, so that you don't get your IP blocked by Google or your proxies blocked. It's handy for harvesting. It does not apply to the multi-threaded harvester. It only applies to the single-threaded harvester, so you'd go to settings and use multi-threaded harvester and just untick that, and then you'll be using the single-threaded harvester, assuming that you don't use the custom harvester. So both those should be unchecked. Then you can use the delay. It also applies to the email grabber when grabbing emails. So if you're hitting a bunch of pages on the same domain, you don't want to get your IP banned. Like say you're hitting 1,000 pages on Facebook, they're going to ban your IP if you hit them 1,000 times in a row, for instance. It also works on ping mode. So if you were sending a lot of pings, for instance. So delay can be pretty handy. Also, this time option here allows you to harvest from Google, Yahoo, Bing, and AOL based off different times. So you can do past 24 hours in Google, past week, that sort of thing. If you happen to see a red option right here that says time span search active and you're trying to harvest, that would be a clue, because that means that you've left this on. So if you want it on, that's fine, but if you happen to say past 24 hours and you're not getting good results, for instance, but you notice this is on, you're not getting good results because you're only getting the past 24 hours. So you can go in there and just set that to any time and that sort of thing. But it's also really handy if you're looking for things that are new, new competitors, new posts on the subject, new content, whatever. You can do that past 24 hours or past week, whatever time frame works for you. A minute ago I talked about the custom harvester. You get 4 search instances here built in to ScrapeBox, such as Google and Yahoo and that sort of thing. But you can go to the custom harvester and tick off the use custom harvester, and then when you start harvesting, you get a lot more options. You get all of these engines that are built in. I believe there's over 20 engines, I think over 25 built in. So Google, AOL, Yahoo, Lycos, Ask, IXQuick, TalkTalk, Dogpile, the list. It just goes on and on and on. So you can also build in your own too. So if you have an engine you want to scrape, you just go to custom harvester settings, and then you can just create a new engine and build your own engine over here. I have a separate video on how to do that. It'll be on the same YouTube channel, so just search for the custom harvester. Also, you get a lot of settings, such as you can use loaded proxies, which would be down here. You can use harvest proxies automatically, so ScrapeBox will automatically go out there and harvest proxies from its own sources, or not the sources included with it, but it'll harvest proxies from Google, I should say, on its own. And then you can use selected sources, so whatever you have selected under managing and harvesting proxies, you can do that. Then you can have it get new proxies after so many minutes, how many proxies before it starts, connections, proxy retries, and then you can set the time speed for proxies. So a lot of options. You can rack up a massive list of URLs really quickly by going through here. If you're going to use advanced search operators that you're used to using in, say, Google or Yahoo for that sort of thing, you might want to go through each engine and kind of get an idea if they support your full URL string, or you might get some funky data. If you're mass posting or something, it probably doesn't matter, but if you're looking for a little bit of accuracy there, then you probably want to check to make sure that your footprint is fully supported. But a lot of options there with the custom harvester. And then the proxy retries for the custom harvester were set there, but you can set proxy retries for the multi-threaded harvester and for PageRank lookup proxy retries here under settings. What proxy retries are is, if I have a list of URLs here that I'm looking for PageRank, or a list of keywords that I'm scraping, and my proxy retries, for instance, for the multi-threaded harvester are set to 5, default is 3, I think. If I have 1,000 keywords and I have 1,000 public proxies loaded in, ScrapeBox will try up to 5 proxies for any given keyword. If it runs into 5 dead proxies, it will then skip that keyword. So if you're looking for speed, you can turn this down. But if you're looking for accuracy, you can turn it up. So now it will try up to 20 proxies before skipping that particular keyword. So if I needed a lot of results right now and I don't really care about accuracy, turn it down. If I'm going to set this up and I'm going to come back in 12 hours or tomorrow or whenever, and I want accuracy, most results possible, then I'm going to run this up. If you're using private proxies, it generally isn't a big issue. You can set it to 3 because unlikely that you're going to have very many dead private proxies. But if you're using public proxies, you might want to turn this up for accuracy. And remember, again, on page ranking, you can just recheck and it'll pick up only the ones that have failed. So the retries there, and in the custom harvester settings, you can set the proxy retries for that. So kind of handy, so you can choose if you're looking for speed or success there, and that sort of thing. Another overlooked thing that I see a lot of is under settings here, this randomize comment posts or blogs list. People go to post to a list and they get really bad success. Well, if you harvest a list and you go messing with it, it can be sorted in alphabetical order. So you can see here I have a bunch of URLs in a row from Yahoo Answers. If I transfer that list down here to my list of blogs to post to, or I just go to export as text, and I don't randomize it when I export and just export as text and then load it in here, all those are going to be in order. So we can shoot it down there, and so then we can go to edit and see that they're all in order there. So if I had 500 pages from the same domain and I hammer those at 100 connections simultaneously, if it's a URL on a server that doesn't have great hosting, it could take down the server, probably not crash it, but it might make it so it doesn't respond, and then they're all going to fail. Or they might ban your IP for hammering on the server, that sort of thing. So what you always want to do is go to settings and make sure this randomize comment poster blogs list is ticked off. And what that does is it auto randomizes the list, so when we transfer it in or we load in a list, they get in random order. So everything is just randomized, and then you're not hitting the same domain 100 times in a row or 1,000 times in a row or with 500 connections at once or that sort of thing. So that will actually increase your success, and I've noticed it increase success a lot in some cases. If you are harvesting and you have this options automatically remove duplicate domains set up, and you do this sort of thing, so you do test, and for this video I'm going to go back to just the multi-threaded harvester, and we harvest a bunch of results, and then when we get done it comes up with a nice error message like this. So see 453 results, and it says blah blah blah, how many domains have been removed from the list, whatever, and then we see that we're down to 477 because I already had some in there, but there's only one URL from each domain. What it's done is the same thing as remove duplicate domains. It removes all URLs except for one from a domain. So if you're getting that sort of pop-up and you're only getting one URL from each domain, you can go to options and automatically remove duplicate domains and untick that. Or if you only want one URL from each domain, then go ahead and tick it off. Another great thing you can do is enable the crash dump logger. It's actually an add-on, and you go to add-ons, show available add-ons, and install the crash dump logger. So we'd click on it and install it, and then once it's installed, then we go up here to options and do enable crash dump logging. And you can't see it on this video, but when you click that off, you'll get you can see here my Komodo has popped up and it says it wants to block it. It's a helpful thing on some antivirus, back to that for a minute, is if you click hide these alerts, then they're never going to come up. I like to have them come up, that way I know when something's been blocked, and you can see it's been blocked because I haven't run it on this particular PC before, so I just choose don't isolate it again. And then what it's done is it started the crash dump logger for me, and that runs down in your taskbar. And so I'm just going to turn it off because I don't want it on this particular install. But what the crash dump logger does is it logs all of your posting in real time. So when you're running through here with Fast Poster and the power goes off or ScrapeBox crashes or Windows restarts it because of Windows updates or whatever, and you lose all that posting, just like your URLs for harvesting are saved in real time on your hard drive, all of that success failed and your list is saved in real time to the hard drive. And I have a separate video on the crash dump logger as well, so just watch it on the YouTube channel. I won't go into it, but the crash dump logger for posting success in real time is pretty handy. Another handy thing is email notification. So under options, you can set up an email notification server. So you just plug in all your info, you create an email address for it, and plug it all in, and then when you do certain tasks such as harvester complete, comment poster complete, it will actually send you an email. And then you can know that it's running. So if you have this running on a VPS or a server or a remote machine that you're not logging into all the time, whatever, then you can get notified about that, so you don't have to waste all kinds of time. If you get really handy, a lot of cell phone providers provide a email address that will send a text message to your phone. Of course, that's text message rates are going to apply, but like I have unlimited texting, for instance, on my plan, so I can punch in it's something like my phone number at, I have AT&T in the USA here, and it's like my phone number at txt.att.net, and then it shows up on my phone as a text message. So that's pretty handy. You can just enable notifications, plug in the data, choose what you want, and get notifications from ScrapeBox when it does or when it's completed certain tasks. When using the email grabber, if you want to grab a list of emails from a URL, you have the option under options here to enable save URLs with email, and what that does is it saves each URL with each respective email address so that you know where that particular email address came from. Pretty handy if you're going to be scraping a lot of emails and you want the URL it came from for whatever reason. Under tools, there's some great tools, names and emails generator, which a lot of people have used, but there's a text editor, which a lot of people don't seem to know about. There's these cool modifiers where you can add certain things in front of each line and that sort of thing, and then you can do edit replace and come up with a lot of creative options there, and it's pretty quick. In fact, this, in my opinion, is faster than using Notepad for edit replace and different things there. Another bit of information on importing here is if I have a list of URLs and I choose to import and replace current list, of course it imports the list and replaces the list that's in here, but it also automatically alphabetizes them, just like if I click here. However, if I have a random list and I want to keep that list randomized in the harvester grid, I can import and add to, and it keeps the list as it is. So import and replace alphabetizes the list, and import and add to keeps the list randomized or however it is currently. Of course, it also adds to any existing list that's here in the harvester itself as well. You also have, when scraping, you can do custom Googles. So we can do all kinds of custom Google setup, and then I have the option to scrape from videos, news, or blogs that Google specifies. You can see those in a browser and understand what those are, but here I can tick off just default Google, Google Videos, Google News, Google Blogs, or set up a custom Google. The new add-ons of Page Authority and Backlink Checker, when you set them up, you can put in a Moz API, or rather you have to put in a Moz API, and so you'd have to go here to account setup and put in a Moz API, otherwise you won't be able to hit start. So because it uses SEO Moz's database, so you have to set up an API with them in order to use it. Now, a tip that some people don't know is that you can set up more than one and assign a unique proxy to each one and set up multiple free accounts, and that allows you to go faster because there is a delay between each request for the API. Another thing that you can do is use link lock for locking particular anchor text to particular URLs. So when I'm posting and I've loaded in my list of my URLs, I can load in a list of names if I like. I can also put anchor text in here because that'll put the anchor text as in place of the name, or if I have, which would be fine if I had all anchors related to all URLs I was in here. But if I want to promote multiple sites at once, like say I want to promote Car Report and then I want to promote Blue Widgets, I obviously wouldn't want the Blue Widgets anchor text showing up with the Car Report. So if I do this link lock, every time it posts this link, carreports.com, it will post one of these anchors with it that are spinnable, and every time it posts for Blue Widgets, it'll post one of these anchor texts. Notice there is a space here, and then this is just standard spin text. And so that allows you to promote multiple sites and keep any given site anchors directly related to the site you're promoting. So in addition to using spin text there in the link lock, you can use it in the email field as well. So if you have just a list of emails, you can go ahead and put those in. And that's kind of a small window. Let me make this bigger here. You can use the email poster or the email field there as spin text. So in this particular instance, I have just an email here, and you can see that it'll give out different spinnable variations. And then I went ahead and made a little template where you can do paste this in and then paste in some names, and I explain it here. This is on ScrapeBoxFact.com, so I won't explain the whole concept here of this particular footprint. But basically, once we put it in, if we do test comments here, you can see I only have one email put in there, and I have it loaded, and I have a name put in there in the front, Mark. And so I have all that loaded in. If I do test comments, see I've got Mark1 at live.com. When I spin it, now I've got Mark6252 at mail.com. Keep spinning it, you can see I get all kinds of different variations on particular names and numbers, all from all different email carriers here. So you can actually load in just a few names there with this particular footprint and come up with all kinds of different email addresses. So just easier to do a few lines sometimes than it is to try to generate a million lines of email addresses and load it in. ScrapeBox is going to use less resources by doing this than it will by dealing with a million emails and that sort of thing. So it can be handy if you want to go that route. And then the last thing is that you can run more than one instance of ScrapeBox on a given PC. So each ScrapeBox license is good for one PC. If you want to use it on an additional computer, they give you a discounted option. I don't know what the current pricing is necessarily. It could change, so just email them and ask them what it is for a second, third, fourth PC, etc. But on your one PC, you can set up multiple instances. So I could set up 10 instances if I want, which I do on my servers, and run them all at the same time. So the way I would do that is I create a separate folder for each one of them. So I have ScrapeBox 1, ScrapeBox 2, and I just grab this and just copy it. So copy here, and let ScrapeBox go through and copy. Now, I obviously have a lot of items because remember, all of your harvested URLs and your keywords and that sort of thing are stored in the ScrapeBox folder. So a normal install that hasn't been sitting around on a PC being used a bunch would have less. But once that's done, I'm just going to rename it ScrapeBox 3, for instance, and then away we go. So now I have another ScrapeBox, and I can set that up as a shortcut on my desktop and that sort of thing. The key is that you run each ScrapeBox instance from a separate folder. So this is the one that's running right now. If I try to run it again, I'll get this nice little error that says that basically that you need to set it up for a second folder. But so you can copy it as many times as you want and run as many instances as you want. Whereas if I go in here and try to run it, we can see I have ScrapeBox running here, and then I have another copy running right here, all in the same PC. And so I could run, you know, a dozen of them, or as much as my computer can support based on the resources. And so if you've made it this far in the video, you've done great. Pretty long video, a lot of tips and tricks there that a lot of people don't know about, and hopefully that allows you to use ScrapeBox more efficiently and get more work done.